in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, TBS Sports brings you the finale of the 1980 SCCA race year, the Champion Spark Plug Road Racing Classic, brought to you by the Champion Spark Plug Company. Champion, you can't buy a better plug. And by Datsun, where you'll find that in all the 1981 Datsuns, the greatest economy of all is quality. And by new gas-saving Pennzoil. Quality in every extra mile. Ask for it. And by Pioneer Car Stereo, the developers of Super Tuner technology for the best sound going.
Well, I've been doing it about 12 years and I still haven't figured it out yet.
It's almost like a fantasy.
I like feeling the G-forces. Atlanta only comes once a year.
I like to drive fast.
I guess you have to be crazy, first of all.
Man against man. When you do it, and you do it right, boy, it's the best turn-on in the whole world.
Hello, I'm David Hobbs, and for many years I've been associated with racing both as a driver and as a commentator. And this past autumn, I broadcast the Champion Sparkplug Road Racing Classic, the largest single motorsports event in the world and a major fixture in the US racing calendar. When the Turner Broadcasting System decided to cover this event, the production and technical difficulties were enormous. And preparations for this unprecedented coverage began over 8 months prior to the event to decide how best to cover the many twists, hills and turns of this very, very difficult 2.5-mile road course. It culminated in a crew of over 60 people being in charge of 2 mobile units, 10 cameras, 7 videotape machines and over 15 miles of video and audio cable. Having got our technical aspects aside, we then had to decide how best to cover these 22 national championship races. And over 5 days of shooting, we got 40 hours of videotape. The first hour was edited overnight and shown during race weekend. The second 2-hour special, which took 70 hours of post-production work, was aired the following weekend. During these 2 shows, the viewers were taken over the cars, alongside the cars, and inside the cars. And we had many interesting sidelights on some of the competitors brought to you by our very experienced announce team. Mike Joy contributed colourful expertise gained from his radio and TV commentary of road and Grand National racing. Mike's experience as a producer, as well as play-by-play announcer, lent an interesting slant to our coverage. Jim Hutto spent hours behind the scenes talking to drivers and crews about their strategies and competition. Jim's been associated with the Sports Car Club of America and the Runoffs as sponsor, driver and commentator for many years. When all the technical and production aspects came together in late October, we knew the atmosphere was right. The chemistry was there to televise a major event as it's never been shown before. However, the Classic is more than we could cover in 3 hours. We showed what we thought was a good cross-section of classes, competitive races and interesting people. But the Classic produces 22 national champion drivers, with some surprising winners and some hard luck losers. Now here's a brief look at the Olympics of motor racing. The races, the people, and the colour of the event. I hope you enjoy it.
Down for the green flag in speed production. And banging at the start, Fitzgerald and Baker heading into turn number 1, and that Jaguar is at the head of the field, and hard braking. Car number 85, Logan Blackburn, goes to the head of the field. A former national champion in a smaller engine class, Blackburn has the lead coming out of turn 1 and 2 and up through the S's.
Well, I thought we were going to see a multiple shot right there at the start.
Baker has the lead back. They've gone by Blackburn coming up out of 2, and into the second position is Jim Fitzgerald. Is climbing up to turn number 5. Into the short straightaway, leading to turn number 6, and the battle rages on once again. The Jaguar is in front, but the Datsun of Fitzgerald jump to the inside going into turn 6. Out of turn number 7, it's the Datsun as the Jaguar bumps across the ripple strip at the inside of the racetrack.
Well, Fitzgerald is certainly using more than his fair share of road here. I don't know. We'll have to see a replay of the start, but he certainly moved across the track there to try and hold the Jaguar off. The Jaguar having more power here on this long back straightaway.
Baker has gone back in front with this aging Jaguar, and as we saw in deep production yesterday, it is another British Dowager Queen race car that has gone to the front of the field against all of the high-buck factory technology.
I'm a British Dowager Queen as well, isn't he?
Down to turn 12. The Jaguar in front of the factory Datsun. Jim Fitzgerald in second. Logan Blackburn is third. Ken Slagle in the Triumph is in the fourth spot, and Paul Newman has moved up to fifth. Hard pressed battle for the lead, but the Jag holds on coming up out of turn 2.
Well, Jim Fitzgerald's 49 years old, but he is really, really, really trying hard here today as they turn into the S's around 3, into 4, and Fitzgerald hounding that Jaguar.
You can see the marks on the left side of Baker's car when he and Fitzgerald jammed together at the start.
For which there's no excuse, really. It's a perfectly straight piece of road going down the straight from the flag. I don't quite see how they got into each other at that stage of the game. Into the turn 1 is one thing, but as the flag drops, seems to me to be almost impossible to do.
Well, the Datsun people came here with 6 cars in the top 10, 3 for Triumph, and I think they were all surprised to be bumped off the pole by this old Jag. Third place, Logan Blackburn, who drove at MGB to a national championship in previous years, and moving up is Ken Slagle in the TR8 Triumph, the yellow wedge-shaped machine that is now forged into the second position. Fitzgerald drafting tightly. Slagle takes his line away as they pass beneath the bridge. Baker up front, but the battle is for second right behind him. Coming down to the turn, and Fitzgerald dives in underneath Ken Slagle, and he's got second back.
And takes 85 with it, too. That's Logan Blackburn.
In fourth would be Ken Slagle, and fifth is Newman.
Paul Newman now pressing Ken Slagle very hard there in fifth place.
Lee Mueller has moved up to the sixth spot in his Triumph.
Jaguar Rover Triumph have people down here, of course, who have very much divided loyalties. They want to see the TR8 do well, but obviously if the Jaguar is going to win, it's very good for them, but it's the wrong model.
Well, if that Jaguar wins, they're not going to sell any of those in the showroom on Monday because that car's been out of production for several years.
With all that shifting and shouting around for second place there on the last lap, it's given, in fact, Fred Baker the best lead he's had of the day so far.
The man trying to track him down. Coming out of turn number 7 will be Jim Fitzgerald out of Clemens, North Carolina. Jim Hutto talked to Fitzgerald earlier about his exuberant driving style.
I've heard that when you're out there on the track, there are a few folks that bang fenders occasionally and kind of push each other around. That's not true, is it?
Not true. It's a lie all the way. And there's a guy peering in here that will back me up. I have never banged fenders practically with anybody. Is that not true, Mr. Newman? Would you care to comment on that?
Not true.
No. It's sometimes fun to try and get a reputation that you're a banger. Then it's intimidation, and nobody will come near you. And that's great. Like, I'm always close to people. Try to. And everybody will give you a little bit of room, and you just sort of stay out of trouble that way. But I don't think that we've had a repair bill on our car knocking on wood, on fenders or sides in the last 2 years.
The Jaguar seems to be picking up about a second a lap. There we see it now, something nearly 4 seconds ahead of Ken Slagle in the yellow TR8, followed by Logan Blackburn, who's dropped back a bit from the TR, and Paul Newman, who again is being pressed down through these S's by Jim Fitzgerald. This definitely seems to be the place where Fitzgerald is best.
Second and third shapes up as a battle. The Triumph Roadster, low-slung machine, excellent aerodynamics for Ken Slagle against the Datsun Coupe. And way out in front and pulling away is Fred Baker. But here's the race for second, and Blackburn every time at turn 7 has let that car hang way out as he looks over the back of Ken Slagle's Triumph Roadster.
Logan Blackburn must have set his car up very differently to the other Datsuns because we don't see them behaving in the same way down there at corner 7. It may be just the way he likes to drive. Perhaps he likes to hang the tail out and finds he goes faster that way than the others. But the other 2 cars, Fitzgerald and Newman, don't seem to be having that same sort of trouble at all.
Ken Slagle and Logan Blackburn, second and third in C production. They're going into turn one, way out. Oh! Slagle hits the tire wall, was flying up in the air.
Hits it very, very hard.
Logan Blackburn and Ken Slagle came together, and Slagle's car sits broadside on the racetrack as the caution flag waves from corner number 12. The runner-up in C production climbs out of his car. He is unhurt after a wild ride up and over the tire wall.
What a violent crash here at the last corner on this track.
Coming around to complete the 8th lap, Ken Slagle was running in 8th position. Let's take a look at again what knocked him out of the race.
Logan Blackburn making up ground through turn 12. Goes to pass the car, I think misjudges it, and just tags the right rear corner of the TR8 and sends him straight into the tyre and Armco barrier right under the start-finish line.
Those old tires are placed there to help absorb the impact, and sending those flying instead of hitting a concrete or steel wall probably saved Ken Slagle from injury and certainly saved his car from being totally destructive. Fred Baker down the hill to turn number 12. He will get the checkered flag and win the C Production National Championship. Baker has fooled them all. Bringing his old Jaguar Warhorse to the runoffs at Road Atlanta, and he will get the checkered flag. Baker's Jaguar surprised and embarrassed the factory teams. But what of last year's champion?
What happened, Paul?
Well, the way I look at it, I was second overall, first in class.
That's quite right. It was a pretty hair-raising race. Did you have any nasty moments out there?
Well, only when Kenny hit the thing, I didn't know how far he was coming out in the road, and I could have gone through there quicker, I guess. But I didn't know how far the car was going to slide.
Well, Paul, as racing drivers go, you're even older than I am. You're 55. How much longer are you going to keep playing this game?
Well, they'll have to strap me down before they keep me out of these things.
Okay, well, thanks very much. There's Paul Newman, our reigning champion, displaced this year.